Welcome back to Calma Web Design. Today we are going to be designing a jewelry website using artificial intelligence and Adobe XD. If you guys have any questions or think I should do anything differently at all, let me know down below in the comments, and feel free to steal any of the methods here that we use at Calma Web Design for your own web design and development journey. We have Discord open already, and the AI art generator that I'm going to be using is called Blue Willow. I use this one because it's absolutely free. I used to like to use this one called Midjourney here, but it is paid now, and I don't want to have to pay for AI art generators. Here's what Blue Willow gave us. So I really like this one in the top left. This one is a little bit odd, but I think I'm gonna go with this one on the bottom right. Let's make some variations. And while that's generating our variations, keep in mind that most of the time it takes me probably 2 to 5 tries to actually get this right. This is the second time I put this prompt in. I actually did it a first time further up, but I didn't really like what it generated, so keep in mind you might have to try it a few different times. So we have our variations, and I like this one in the bottom left the best. And keep in mind, I don't strictly follow the designs. It's more just to give me, the designer, an idea on what I want to do. It's basically brainstorming when I'm putting in these prompts on Blue Willow or any other art generator tool. This is not a strict design that I'm going to necessarily follow. I don't think it's a good idea to do that, because it kind of prohibits you from doing really what you want to do and generating the ideas you think will be good for the client, because obviously this AI art generator is not going to know the client's needs. That's what you as the designer will know. So you want to tailor things to the client and not strictly stay with one of these designs that you use. All right, so here we go. And now what I'm going to do, now that I have my upscaled version, is I'm going to open this in my browser like this, and then I'm actually going to save the image to my computer. Now all I'm going to do is crop it down a little bit here, because I don't want all this outside noise going on. I simply want the website design, and most of the time what I would personally do is put this in Photoshop, maybe modify it a little bit and do all this kind of stuff in Photoshop, but for the sake of this video I don't think it's necessary, because this is just a quick crop that we really need to do. But keep in mind, I would probably put it into Photoshop and change it out. All right guys, perfect. Here's what we have, and keep in mind these images are not gonna be what we use. I already have the images that I want. This is really just to show us our placement, where we're gonna put our image here, how our header is gonna look. It's gonna give us the colors that we wanna use, and it's gonna just guide us in the right direction. As you can see, I definitely wouldn't wanna use this picture because she looks all messed up for some reason. She actually looks okay on this side, but this side her eye is like all, you know, blurry and all over the place for some reason. So keep in mind these AI art generator tools are not perfect. And now we have Adobe XD open. We have a new project going already, and all we want to do now is go to our files and drag in the mock-up that we created with our AI art, just like this. And keep in mind this can be a little blurry. Again, it's not going to be perfect. Let's enlarge that. This is going to be something you don't want to show to your client. This is something that's only for you as a designer, and then you want to take this mock-up from your AI art generator and then create the design. You don't want to show this to a client, because this is going to make it look like you don't know what you're doing. This is for your reference only. Keep that in mind as well. So now what we want to do is go ahead and grab our rectangle tool and start creating that header. And keep in mind, especially if you guys didn't watch the video where I create the pizza website, everything in Adobe XD is a little bit bigger than what you guys think. So when you actually export this design, it's going to be larger than what it seems in Adobe XD. So you don't want to make a huge header or something. Make sure you, again, make it a good size. But keep in mind, everything in Adobe XD looks just a little bit smaller. And then what we can do here, this is one of the biggest helps when you're using AI art generators, is you can go to your fill and then go ahead and just drag your color in. So that's going to be our main color here, the purple. And keep in mind, the reason we're using purple is because it elicits the idea of royalty and wealth. And that's exactly what we want to do with our jewelry website. We want to elicit emotions of wealth and royalty because the client wants to portray wealth and royalty and luxury. Now we want to grab our rectangle tool again, and here's where we're actually going to put our large image here. And keep in mind, this blue line is basically the bottom of your first page. So from the top of your screen to the bottom of your screen. So that blue line helps you reference that there. And so we're gonna follow exactly where that blue line is and scroll in holding Alt and your mouse, just like so. And what we wanna do is get rid of this border, but we do want just a little bit of a fill so we remember that that rectangle is there and we don't lose track of it. And now the super handy tool in Adobe XD will simply allow us to grab our image and drag it in. So as you guys can see, I already have most of my images downloaded. And here's the one that I personally want to use because again, this matches our color scheme and the goal that the client wants right here. They're big on selling diamonds, so we definitely want to portray diamonds here in the mockup, in the initial design for the client. So we're going to put this off to the right just a little bit. And then as you guys can see, it actually goes into our shape. And keep in mind, you have to do it strictly from your computer. If you drag this image in like that, it's not going to let you grab it and then put it inside. So you need to drag it from your files into the shape to ensure that that feature works. Now what we want to do is go ahead and add some text in here. So this is going to be Jackson's jewelry, and then we want to go ahead and enlarge this text, obviously, because that is tiny. And again, the client wants to elicit royalty, wealth, and luxury, so that's exactly why we're using this font here. This is called Rafaela, and it does look fancy and convey that sense of royalty that we are going for. What we want to do now is actually just go ahead and make this text completely white because it's really hard to see against that black background, as you guys can tell. Now what we want to do is add our underneath text here like we have on this side. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go back to our selection tool. We're going to hit Alt and just drag out an Arial. We're going to use this just to make it easy to read because we don't want our extra text to be difficult to read. A lot of people, when they're going for luxury or wealth or something like that, they decide to use a script font. I definitely don't recommend doing that because most script fonts are really hard to read. So definitely find something that's easy to read. So even up here, Jackson's jewelry is easy to read. And then again, this is just a mock-up design that we're going to present to our client. So what we're going to do is we're going to open Adobe XD and actually come up with some taglines and some stuff like that we could choose from and then put in this initial design. Here's what ChatGPT gave us, and I like this one here at number 10, where love and craftsmanship converge. I think that's a really clean and professional tagline for this jewelry store. So we're gonna go over here and we are going to paste that just like so. I'm going to take out this and put it in ampersand to make it look just a little bit cleaner like so. And then we're gonna get rid of that period at the end. And then for some reason our opacity is not at 100%, so we're going to adjust that back to 100% just like so. And then we want this to be moved down just a little bit like that. Boom, starting to look really clean here, and you guys can see where we're headed with this design. And now what I want to do is actually knock out the header portion of this website. What we're going to do is just move this image just a hair to the right and a little bit down to get the best proportions possible. So now you guys can see it looks clean, it looks luxurious, it looks professional, and we have that purple color helping us convey the feeling of wealth and royalty. So what we're going to do now is simply again drag this text out holding Alt, go up like this. And so this is going to be our home page. We're going to drag this out again and create our entire header just by dragging these out like that. And then we're going to keep our header really nice and simple. We're simply going to have home, shop, and about. We may change that later on depending what happens when we get to development, but for now I think that is a perfect start. And then what we also want to do is make sure we don't have any white in here. I don't think we do. And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to use an icon from our plugin Icons for Design. Pretty much all the time I create a custom logo for my clients, especially if they don't have one already. But for the case of today's video, I don't think we need to create a custom one, because again, we could get something simple like this, and then once I present this to the client, I'll put my own custom logo in there for them instead of using this stock one. But again, once I'm done with this, I will be creating my own custom logo that I can present to this particular client. But for now, this little diamond here looks really clean, so we're gonna go ahead and simply make that white. And now you guys can see we have our complete header here. And once we start development, I'll probably have a drop down. So shop will probably drop. There'll be a drop down and you'll see necklaces and rings and stuff like that. But for now, I want to keep this website design brief, easy to use, easy to navigate, keeping the user experience in mind, because I don't want people to go to this website and have a bad experience, because then they won't buy the jewelry from my client. And again, the goal of this is to help our client sell more jewelry. That's the whole point of this. So you want to make the user experience really friendly to people and easy to use, so they don't get frustrated and go buy their products somewhere else. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add this little bar down here like that. So what we're going to do is actually create our little bars like so. We're going to drag out from the header like I just did. We're going to shrink this, and we're only going to have two options to keep this brief, because I don't want to make this video crazy long. So I'm going to be cutting some corners just for the sake of showing you guys how to do things. And we're going to copy that purple color there, and then what we're going to do is we are going to drag that out again like so. And we're going to make this a little bit bigger. Delete that one and try that one more time. And then we want this to be right in the center, so select both of these. And then we're gonna have rings and necklaces at this particular store. So we wanna bring our text down again like that, and then we're gonna go rings. And as you can see, we are starting to get more of what we want look-wise. Again, I don't strictly follow the design from the AI art generator. I use this more of an idea, and then I kind of take it and make it my own and tailor it to what the client is looking for, because again, that's your area of expertise, designing this to what your client wants. So you take the information that you get from your client and then you make what they want to help them accomplish their goal. And then again, you want to be sure that the contrast between your backgrounds and text is good to go. So there's plenty of tools out there. I already tested this one, it's good to go. And this one is obviously even darker, so that one will definitely be good to go. And now what we want to do is add in our little boxes for our images that we're going to be using, and hold shift down to make that a perfect square like so. And then what we want to do is just add a little bit of a fill to this, because again, we want to be able to see this shape and not be lost as to what we're doing. So we're going to keep it really nice and brief, and again, to make this more inviting for people to look at, to make it seem more friendly. Again, you could round these corners in, but what I want to do is actually do a circle here, because I think it looks a little bit cleaner that way. So we're going to go ahead just like this. And then these up here, again, we're going to round this, but keep in mind, if you do this, it makes it look like a button. So make sure you come back and make these actually clickable, especially in your development process, because people are going to come down here and this looks like a button to people if you round off the corners. So you want to make sure that these are clickable. When you click on this, you go to rings, and when you click on this, you go to necklaces. I've seen a lot of websites where they have stuff that looks like buttons, and it even throws me off as a web designer and developer because I expect if something looks like a button, it's clickable. And then when it's not, it's frustrating because now you have something that looks like a button and that doesn't work and you don't know where to go. So make sure if you don't want it to be a button, you don't make it look like a button. But if it looks like a button, make it a button. And now what we want to do is take our images that we already have. And again, this can be whatever you guys want to use. It doesn't have to be specifically this stuff. So for rings, we're going to use this little picture of some wedding bands here. And then for necklaces, we are going to find a nice, clean picture of a necklace that we have. And we're going to go ahead and use this one because I think it matches our color scheme the best. And then in this case, our background is just white. So what we might want to do is actually enlarge this image a little bit. And once you have the image in the shape, you want to double click it to actually get back to the image itself. If you just click on it once, this will actually select the original shape, double click it, and then you will get the image. So definitely make sure you do that correctly. What we're gonna do is actually add just a light border to give it some depth and give it a little bit of a separated feeling because we don't want it to feel like it's just matching into the back here. So we're just gonna do a simple border like that, and again on this one to make sure we are matching up on our site like so. And now what we want to do is actually add one more thing down here at the bottom. We want to add for any occasion with a picture of people, because again on a website a good idea is to actually show somebody's face, show somebody enjoying the product, enjoying the service. So we're going to move these selections down, and then what we're going to do is come in here like so, and we're going to add in a square for our image, and then we're actually going to add another square, and this one is actually going to go behind our image, and it's going to look really cool what we're going to do. So follow along with what I'm doing here. Let me know if you guys get confused on any step or need any help later on. And then what we want to do is make sure we have our layers correct. So we want this layer to be below this one. So go to layers in the bottom left and then move the rectangle down. And then for the sake of today's video, I'm not going to show you guys me naming all of my shapes, but everything you guys do, you want to name it specifically. So for this, I want to make this a component like so. Right click, make component, and then this will make it reusable obviously, and then this is going to be titled navigation. But I don't want to waste your time by showing you guys me just typing up text and labeling everything. But make sure you do that on your own because that's a step you do not want to miss, because it's really going to help you guys out, especially once you get to development. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop this down just a little bit like that, and then again up a little bit like that. Now we want our image with people here because again we want to show people enjoying the product. So here's just a simple picture of two people together that I have, and I'm going to move this over here like so. This background is already gray, so what we want to do is make this one probably a purple like that. And then what we want to do, move this out just a little bit. Now we want to grab our text here, and again you want to make sure your layers are correct, so move this up and now you'll be able to see it. So now we have people actually showing their face and actually wearing our jewelry, which again is a big plus because you want to show people actually enjoying the product. We're actually going to change our text to every occasion because we don't want people to only think that they need to come to our jewelry store for weddings or something like prom, or we want people to come into this jewelry store all times of the year for every occasion, for casual jewelry, for fancy jewelry, and things in between. And here's where we're gonna put every occasion and list out some of the occasions that we provide jewelry for. So we're going to put weddings, ceremonies, dances, and parties, and then we're going to grab these and position them to the left side here, just like so, by clicking this button up here, align left, And then we actually want to have this right in the center of our rectangle. So we're gonna move that down just a little bit. And now you guys can see we have that really clean, fresh look with that overlap and showing some people here actually wearing our jewelry. Now what we want to do is make sure we have all these positioned out correctly. Then we want to move this just up a little bit. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to add one more text in here like this to add some division, because everything looks right on top of each other right now, so we don't want that to be the case. So what we're gonna do, now you guys can see what we're going for here. This shop now adds some division in here, and it doesn't look like everything's right on top of each other. Now what we wanna do, actually the last thing we wanna do is round these corners off just a little bit. I don't want them to be super round, but just a little bit so they're a bit softer for people to look at. So we're just gonna round that off by 8 points here like that. And now you guys can see it doesn't have such a sharp edge. It has that slight round, but we don't want it to be rounded off like a button either. So now what we're gonna do is we're going to take our button here and we're going to drag this up and add a call to action at the top up here. Now what we wanna do, make sure our layer is on the correct part of the page here. So we're gonna add this right in the middle. We're going to again type shop right here. Going to make sure this is centered. And again, these call to action buttons are super important. Do not forget a call to action, because then people don't know what to do if you don't tell them what you want them to do. So here's why we have shop. We up here in the top right in our navigation, we have shop in our button again. We go down and say shop now. Again, there's buttons to go to rings, necklaces, the stuff that we offer. So you want to make it really easy for people to actually purchase merchandise, because that's the whole point of this project, is to help our client Jackson's Jewelry sell more jewelry. So you guys definitely don't want to forget the important stuff like call to action buttons and making the user experience seamless. We're actually going to move this to the left because it looks a little bit cleaner like that, and move it just a little bit down like so to give it a little bit more space so it's not right on top of our text there. And then boom, now we have our initial design that we could then actually bring to a client. Again, this is just the home page. This is not the whole thing, so you would probably want to finish the whole thing before you go to the client. But for now, we have a great homepage mock-up. And the last thing we want to do is actually go ahead and create our footer element. So how we're going to do that is we're just going to get our rectangle tool again, just like how we created the header, and we're actually going to get rid of that border, and we're going to change the fill to our original color up here. So let me scroll up just a little bit. So select our footer element, and we're actually going to select this purple color that we started with. And then I don't want there to be any outline, so make sure there's no outline here. Okay, we're good to go. And now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna add our links again, like so. I'm gonna double click to get inside our component, and then drag, and then copy that, click outside of our component and paste. Hold shift to select more than one at a time, control copy. And then if you copy something inside a component, you make sure to click outside of the component, because you don't want to paste it within your component. Again, you guys have any questions, let me know down below. We're going to have our links down here, just like so again. And then we are going to get our logo one more time. Then what we want to do is make sure we add our social media icons. So icons for design, this is a plugin that I like to use. We're going to add Instagram for sure, just like so. We're gonna add Facebook, and that should be it. I would personally add every social media platform you could possibly add, but for this video here, this will be good enough for now. Once I present this to the client, I will again change out any of these things that I skipped for this video, but you guys get the point on how to do this. And we just want to click and drag these and move them down to the bottom here. So this again is going to be our footer. We want to make sure everything's even and looks clean. And then what we can do is actually drag this up a little bit because it's a little bit large for us. So what we are going to, and then to actually adjust this artboard, because we don't want this white piece down here, go up and click the home page text, scroll down, and you can actually drag this up. Again, you want to be really accurate with this so you're not cutting off any of your elements or leaving any white space at the bottom. And then what we want to do is select this here, and to make a component, right click and make component, and now you have a reusable component that you can name footer and use it again and again wherever you want. And again, to actually edit a component, you need to edit it from the parent or it will not make the changes to all of them. If you make a copy like this, so I'm going to hold Alt, drag out, this is the child of my parent component. If I make a change to this, it's not going to change my parent, as you can see. However, if I change my parent component, it will make changes to the whole thing. So make sure if you do create components, you keep track of where your parent is. Me personally, just to avoid running into issues, my parent component is always going to be located on the home page. So therefore I know, okay, here's where my parent component is. And another way to realize where your parent component is to actually do. So here's how you can actually see what component is the parent. This one with the outline is the child. This one completely filled in without the thick outline is the parent. But again, that's really confusing if you're working through a lot of different elements and a lot of different pages. So in the beginning, what you want to do is just keep track of your parent component from the start so you don't have to go around looking for these squares, because it can get extremely confusing. So now we actually have the home page for our design. As you guys can see, it looks clean, it looks nice, it looks professional, and it's conveying the feeling of wealth, luxury, and royalty that our client wants to portray right here. And so what we're going to do next is we're actually going to create more pages, and all we need to do is create home, which we already have here, shop, but shop is actually going to be made up of 3 different pages. We're going to have our main shop page. Then we're going to have our 2 pages, one for necklaces and one for rings. And then we need to have our about page. So all you need to do is select your artboard like this by clicking the text, hold Alt, click and drag out to create another artboard. So what we're gonna do here is actually call this shop, like so. And then this is where we're gonna start changing stuff out. For now, I would make this a lot different from your home page, but for the sake of this video and to show you guys everything you need to know without wasting your time, we're actually just going to delete this, and then we're going to move this up like so. And you get the idea on what I'm doing. This is going to make it really easy to navigate. Even though it's technically the same and it's a duplicate over here, it actually makes it easy to use because now people know where they're going. It makes them familiar with these different buttons here. They know it's going to take them to rings. They know it's going to take them to necklaces. And actually, we're going to keep this one on this page as well. We're going to make sure this is in the center like so. And then again, this is a duplicate, but this is the feeling that we want to portray. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna add that in like that. And then we are going to, again, copy our call to action button. And what I would probably do if it wasn't for the sake of time, I would change out this image and then probably change out this text. But for now, we're just going to leave that how it looks right now. We're gonna move this up because we don't want to take up too much time. Once I come back and make some changes for the client and see what they like and don't like, we can actually add or subtract or make things much different. But for now, that's going to be our shop now page. And then what we want to do is actually drag this out and create our necklaces page. So what we're going to do here, we're going to title this necklaces. And then we're going to keep this same vibe like we already have. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to add some different text in here like this. We're gonna make this black, get rid of this button just for now. And then this is going to actually be the name of the piece, so pennant. And you guys can see exactly where we're heading with this design. And then what we can do is we can add the price in here. This is going to be $5,000. I was talking to them about this, so that's pretty expensive, just like that. And then what we're gonna do, drag this down just a little bit, move it up one more like that. And then what we want to do is actually add an add to cart button. Here's what we have now, guys. We have a picture of our product, we have the name of our product, we have the price, and we have our add to cart feature all designed down here. And then again, you can select one or more, or completely not even add it to your cart. And then for this, all we're going to do is keep this same idea going here like so. And then all we're going to do is change out our images and change out, obviously, our text. And then what we need to do is drag out our artboard here. And this is again going to be for necklaces. And we're only going to have 4 because, again, I don't want this video to be crazy long, but I'm going to be adding a lot more to this particular one outside of today's video. But you guys don't need to watch all that. You guys can see exactly how you can add or subtract as many as you want. All right, guys, so now you can simply see that we have our home page, our shop now page, and our necklaces page, and we're going to change out these images really fast. You guys can see we have all the necklaces we want to add for the sake of today's video. Again, only 4, but I'm going to add more later. And we have our purple diamond pennant, gold diamond pennant, silver encrusted ruby pennant, pure golden pennant. And again, you guys can copy and create as many of these as you want. You can do 2 across, you could do 3 across, you could even do 4 across if you guys want. It's really just up to you and what the client you're working for wants. Now what we're gonna do is copy this page over, and I'm going to do the same exact thing for the rings, and then I'll get back to you guys when I'm done with that. All right, guys, now we have our necklaces page and our ring page with all of our jewelry, images, prices, names, and add to cart feature. Something that I just realized I forgot to add, and here's where your parent components are going to come in handy, is I forgot to add a cart icon in the top right of the website. So now, because I know that all of my components are on my home page, I can go back to my home page here, select all of these, and move them to the left side. And then all I simply need to do is go get an icon of a cart here, and then add it to the top right of my website. So just like this, we're going to use a basic shopping cart like so, make this white, and then that's going to be our cart icon like so. And what we want to do is make sure we actually add this within our component. That is why it's not showing on our child components over here. You can see our text moved over on our header, but the cart's not here. This is an amateur mistake that I see a lot of beginner web designers make, is not adding their components in, is not adding their new elements inside of their component. And now you guys can see I have the cart within each one of my header components now, because I was able to add this cart into my parent component. Now all we need to do is copy this page one more time and finish this up by creating our about page for this website. Now all we have to do is create our about page, and then we also have to create our cart and ordering page, which will probably just bundle into one page. All we need to do for this about page is get rid of all of this, and then what we want to do to add some consistency to our entire website is go ahead and copy these elements over to this part. And here's where we're actually going to put some more information about this particular client's business. And we're going to put about us, and then we're simply going to center that in the middle, and then we're going to put owner like so. Right, now we have some text in here. We have the owner. Our owner, Mary Lewis, started the business in 2014. She had the vision to reshape the way people choose and buy jewelry for every occasion. And now all we want to do is actually add the picture of our owner. So I already have this. Again, this could be anything you guys want. I'm gonna drag in our image like this. We're gonna make this a little bit bigger so we can see more of our owner here. Show some of that store in the background. And then that's really all we want for the About Us page. We don't want anything too crazy because people's attention spans are short. So we want to keep it short and sweet and to the point for this particular website here. Now all we want to do is again rename our artboard here to About. Now what we want to do is create our final order page just by dragging this over, and again this is just going to be a design, so it's just going to be an example. And what we are going to do is we are going to show what we have in the cart like this, like that. We're going to select this. Once again, shrink it down, make sure we are even with our other design over here like this. And then all we are going to do is delete this, move that up, move this up. You guys can see where we're headed with this. If not, I am almost done with it. And we're just gonna show our cart items up top like that. And then we're gonna do order now like so. We're just going to move this right over here. And then keep in mind, we're also going to be prototyping this website in a later video. If you want to see that, make sure you subscribe so you can see exactly how I personally like to prototype my website designs in Adobe XD. And in that video, that's where we'll add our overlays and everything like that. So for now, all we're gonna do is have a button down here that says order now. We're not going to have anything too crazy. And then in that video is where we will actually, let me copy this, is where we'll actually add those overlays where you can place your order and it will take client's credit card information and everything like that. And so simply we'll just do place order. We want this to be obvious and easy to navigate to. And now what we will do, okay, once we actually develop this website, when you add to the cart, what will happen is more of these will actually pop up. But again, this is just an example for our client. This again is our design, so we don't need to actually add that functionality to our web design. So keep that in mind. But once we get to development, we will start adding some of those features where it will actually pop in and show what we have in our cart and remove items when you click these buttons and such. But right now we are not going to do that. Now what we want to do is title this cart page. So now you guys can see we have our complete website design all based around our original AI art generated website design here to help us out. We have our home page, we have our shop page, we have our necklaces page, we have our rings page, and we have our about page, and finally we have our cart page. And then when we actually start prototyping this particular website is when we'll add the overlays where customers can actually input their shipping information, their order information, and ultimately their credit card information, whether they want to pick it up in the store or if they want to just order it online and have it delivered to them. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you stay tuned for that video where I prototype this in Adobe XD. And then after that step, I will actually develop this with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. In that video, we're not going to get super advanced as far as the functionality goes because I want to keep it basic and then start slowly building on top of that as we go through this series. Thanks so much for watching. If you guys have any questions, reach out to me down below in the comments. I will be happy to help you guys out with whatever you need. If you need our professional web design and development services, reach out to us today through this video or go to our website at kalmanwebdesign.com.